April 1, 1944. American bombers were deep over Europe, targeting German industrial cities near the Swiss border. Inside their cockpits, crews believed they were striking the Third Reich. Below them was not Germany. It was Basel, Switzerland, a neutral nation that had carefully avoided war for nearly 5 years. Bombs began falling across the city. Factories erupted in flames. Residential streets were shattered. Smoke rose over a country that had declared itself neutral and expected that neutrality to protect it. More than 40 civilians were killed. And once again, Washington faced a reality it could not ignore. The world's most powerful air force had bombed the wrong country. Basel sat at a dangerous crossroads. It was a Swiss city, but barely. Located directly on the border with Germany and France, it was surrounded by wartime tension. Across the Rhine River lay the industrial heart of Nazi-controlled territory. From high altitude, the geography was deceptive. Rail yards, warehouses, industrial complexes. To a bombardier looking through cloud breaks at 20,000 feet, Basel could resemble a legitimate German target, but to its residents, it was home. Switzerland had mobilized defensively during the war, but it had never declared allegiance to either side. Neutrality was not policy, it was survival. Late morning, April 1, 1944. American bomber formations crossed into the border region under shifting weather conditions. Visibility was inconsistent, wind calculations were imperfect. Bombardiers searched for industrial targets inside Germany. Through haze and drifting clouds, they identified what appeared to be rail facilities and manufacturing structures. Bomb bay doors opened. The first explosions struck near Basel's freight yards. Then more followed. Within seconds, industrial buildings erupted in flame. Shock waves shattered windows across residential neighborhoods. Civilians who had lived for years under the tension of surrounding war, but without invasion, suddenly found themselves inside it. There were no German anti-aircraft batteries defending Basel, no Luftwaffe fighters rising to intercept, because Basel was not German territory. It was neutral Switzerland. And yet, the bombs kept falling. The bombing lasted only minutes, but minutes are enough. More than 40 civilians were killed. Many others were injured. Entire families were buried beneath debris. Warehouses burned along the river. Freight cars twisted into mangled metal. Residential streets were cratered. Swiss firefighters and emergency crews responded immediately. Unlike cities in Germany, Basel had not been conditioned by constant Allied raids. The attack was sudden, disorienting. For residents, the question was immediate and terrifying. Was this an accident, or had Switzerland been drawn into the war? News traveled quickly to Bern. The Swiss government understood the gravity of the moment. A neutral country had just been bombed by Allied aircraft. And this was not a small border incident. It was a deadly airstrike inside sovereign territory. Diplomatic channels activated almost immediately. Swiss officials lodged a formal protest with the United States. Evidence was clear. Fragments of bombs bore American markings. In Washington, military command reviewed flight logs and weather data. The conclusion mirrored what would later happen in Zurich in 1945. Navigation error. Strong winds had drifted formations slightly off intended routes. Visual identification through cloud cover had been flawed. From altitude, Basel's industrial sector had resembled German targets across the border. President Franklin D. Roosevelt was informed. The United States publicly acknowledged responsibility. An apology followed, and eventually compensation payments were negotiated. But the damage extended beyond buildings. For Switzerland, neutrality had proven vulnerable. Basel was not a strategic objective. It was not a military stronghold. It was collateral, unintended, but real. The incident revealed something uncomfortable about high-altitude bombing in World War II. Precision was aspirational. Reality depended on weather, instruments, and human interpretation. Even experienced crews could misidentify targets when flying at speed under combat pressure. Basel's bombing forced American commanders to re-evaluate procedures near neutral borders. But it did not end accidental strikes. In fact, 1 year later, American bombs would again fall on Swiss territory, this time on Zurich. 2 separate incidents, same country, same explanation, different year. Neutrality had limits when viewed from 20,000 feet. In American wartime memory, Basel rarely appears. The liberation of France, the landings in Normandy, the bombing of German industry, these dominate the narrative. Basel became a diplomatic footnote. Compensation was paid, relations stabilized, the war continued. But for the families who lost relatives on April 1, 1944, it was not a footnote. It was the day war arrived from the sky, uninvited. And it revealed a truth that would echo through the rest of the conflict. Air power reshapes battlefields, but it does not always respect borders, or neutrality, or intention. On April 1, 1944, the war crossed a border that was never meant to be crossed, not by invasion, not by declaration, but by mistake.